Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Very Reasonable Pilots podcast. I'm your host, Charles. Along with me, as always, my co-host, producer, co-pilot, gun navigator, orator, and podcasting associate, Jacob Gloth. How you doing today, Jacob?
I am swell, Charles. Excited another episode of the podcast where we pitch new TV shows every single week. And now we're back again, episode 272. New pilot idea from you, new show, new everything. I'm excited to see what you have.
Yeah, it's gonna be great. So do you remember the title you gave me?
The Mask of Tomorrow. Now, I'm really scared because I think this title is a banger. And you told me some things beforehand that I'm going to be angry with you. So, I hadn't actually connected until this moment that what you were saying that before we started recording that I'm going to be upset with you. And I hadn't realized what the title was until just now. Now I'm nervous. If this is like the last one you did, the what was it called? The Time Is Always Now. If you make this a drama, I'm just gonna cut out my part of the podcast. It's just gonna be you talking.
The Mask of Tomorrow. Oh. Kenneth McKay is a lowly, humble middle manager at a call center who's recently been cheated on by his wife who took the kids in home. He is now currently living with a weed-dealing 19-year-old and his girlfriend. A 38-year-old man, Kenneth is beginning to question his life choices until he mysteriously receives a letter in the mail inviting him to a medical trial run for cutting-edge memory enhancement drugs.
Oh.
Unbothered, Kenneth decides to go. That is the opening. That's how we that's how we set it, right?
Gotcha.
At the little marquee in the theaters, that would be the be the little thing that is underneath the title.
That's a lot of words. Right? That's a lot of words for the marquee.
Yeah, well, not the marquee, but like the back of when you buy a movie in DVD form, they have a little
blurb
section at the back that says what the movie's about. Yeah, the blurb. This is the blurb. I did write this as a film because I was writing the idea, and as I was coming up with it, I was like, this doesn't work as well if it's episodic. Because it would only ever function properly if it was one season. And I'm like, well, why would I do one season, like 6 hours of TV, when I could condense it into a movie that really gets to the heart of the idea in about 2 hours, you know?
Yeah.
2.5 hours, maybe, right? So I decided to write a film based off of this idea. But
yeah,
just keep in mind our main character, Kenneth McKay, or Mackay, however you want to say it, a lowly middle manager who's very pathetic. That's how we're starting out. So I've split it into 3 acts, as people do with films occasionally, and so we'll go through Act 1. And at the end of each act, I want you to tell me where you think it's going, right?
Oh, God.
So, Kenneth is working hard at the Heathstone call center. He is talking to an older woman about buying some car insurance from this call center, and she calls him a pathetic, bottom-feeding piece of shit and hangs up.
Ah, same.
Then his superior, a 22-year-old very young man, comes up and chews him out for having some of the lowest call volume of anyone in the building. Right? And then we cut to Kenneth, and he's eating lunch, and he's being ignored by all of his fellow coworkers, right? They're all sitting at one table talking and chatting and laughing, and they're all very visually younger than he is. He's older. He's nearing 40. He goes home after a long, hard day at work, and he hears his roommates having sex in the other room, right? It's these two, 19-year-olds who smoke weed and sell weed all day. And they're fucking very loud. In the other room. And Kenneth, just sort of despondent and unhappy, he just goes through the mail, right? And it's all overdue bills and, cards from people who are doing a lot better than he is. And just tucked at the back of this stack of mail is a letter from Remembrance Incorporated inviting him to a trial of their new drug. He picks up the letter, he opens it up, he reads it, he's, hello, Kenneth, this is blah, 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 like just telling him you signed up for a thing, and they gave us your address, and so we're sending you this thing because you might be interested in being part of our medical trial. He looks at it, he reads through it, he crumples it up, he throws it onto his, like a bedside table or a sort of bureau, right? Unimportant, right? And he goes to bed. And he falls asleep looking at this picture of his family, right? And you see Kenneth, he's a bit happier, he's younger, right? And he has 2 kids with him and his beautiful wife, all of whom have left him, right? And so he wakes up the next day, brushes his teeth, washes his face, takes a shower, right? Like kind of gets ready for a new day. And he leaves the house and he sees his 2 roommates sitting on the couch, like getting really high and kind of talking shit about him. Like just talking about how kind of lame it is that a guy near close to 40 is living with us. Like that sort of thing, but we need the money. And they're very obviously talking shit about him, right? And so he goes to work where he is just constantly belittled and disrespected by the customers he's calling. And then the end of the day, it ends with his supervisor, his boss, the young guy, dressing him down in front of everyone in the office, right? Just a loud, very public dressing down, you know? And I was also think we could have a moment where he maybe chats to a girl, right? Who's like maybe a bit older than everyone, like she's, you know, in her late 20s. He chats to this girl at the water cooler, right? And they kind of, you know, she giggles and he's like, oh, that's nice. And then she goes over and talks to other people and then they all kind of give him a dirty look. And she like looks at him with a face of disgust. And he's like, oh, and he sits back down. And then his boss comes up and totally just decimates him, like just dresses him down in front of the whole team. Awesome. He goes home, despondent and angry and upset, right? And then he gets a phone call, and it's from his ex-wife's phone number, Martha, right? That's his ex-wife. Martha is calling him, and he's really excited. He's like, oh my God, Martha, it's so nice to hear from you. And then he hears on the other end of the phone, Todd, Martha's new boyfriend.
Classic Todd.
And he's calling Kenneth, right? And he's like, hey, we haven't gotten the child support checks in the mail. And in the background, you can hear Kenneth's children calling Todd Dad.
Oh.
Like, they call him Dad. Hey, Dad, get off the phone, or blah, blah, blah. And Todd is just like, hey, man, just send those over whenever you can. Hangs up, right? Kenneth, right, sort of slack-jawed and unhappy. You know, he looks at this picture of his family, he smashes it on the table, and he goes into his bureau. He like lifts a bunch of underwear and socks out of the way, and he pulls out a small snub-nosed revolver, right?
Oh God.
And he flips it open, and it's fully loaded. He flicks it closed, and he looks at it. And then just past the revolver, right, in the shot, the revolver will be in the foreground, sort of a first-person shot, and in the back, you'll see the crumpled up letter from Remembrance Incorporated. And he'll look at it, and then he'll notice the letter. He'll put the revolver down on top of the bureau, not away again. And he'll pick up the letter, and he'll decide to go, right? And so that's the end of Act 1. That's how Act 1 ends, is him looking at the letter and like kind of making a face of determination and like, yeah, I will do this. Like, why the fuck not? You know? That's how Act 1 ends. Do you think you know where things are going? Very sad man, unhappy boy.
There's 2 ways I see this going. In my head, it's either gonna be Total Recall, or like the Arnold Schwarzenegger movie, where he like gets new memories and he thinks he gets memories implanted, but they're really they're opening up and he's a super spy and all that stuff. Or this is like is it Jim Carrey that's in Yes Man or whatever it is, where like he just starts saying yes to things in his life, and his life gets starting to get better. Or like maybe like Secret Life of Walter Mitty, where he starts doing things. So this is either going to be really hopeful or an action movie, but I've got a feeling it's going to be.
Act 2 begins with it's a Saturday. Kenneth isn't working, so he goes to Remembrance Incorporated, where he meets Dr. Hoffer, who explains to him what the drug is capable of. And I'm imagining Dr. Hoffer as played by Nicholas Hoult, like sort of this eccentric, loud, bombastic dude who's like a genius, but he's also weird. You know, that sort of thing. Think Nicholas Hoult in Superman, but he's less of a prick and more of a lunatic, and he has hair. And so he explains that the drug allows the subject to relive memories. Like, fully immerse yourself into the memories that you have, right? And so after a little bit of coaxing, Dr. Hoffer is able to convince Keith to try it out. And Keith remembers this, like, lovely, beautiful scene of him fishing with his father. It's like he's a little kid, and we see it from Kenneth's POV of his, like, he's got, you know, he's got man hands, and then it switches to he's got little kid hands, and he's holding onto the rod, and his dad's telling him, you know, like, oh, you can't go too fast or else the line will snap and the fish will get away, and it's that sort of thing. And we see this little scene play out, and it's very nice, and it's very, very beautiful, right? And then he wakes up, and Kenneth is, like, extremely excited. He's like, this is awesome, this is incredible. And Dr. Hoffer is happy to hear that he enjoyed it, and said, we can't give you too much right now, like we can only do one trial a day, but you come back tomorrow and we'll get you hooked up. After each time you do the drug, we're going to have, you and I are personally going to have a little debrief session, right? Where we just sort of talk about what you saw and how you felt and all these things. Sort of a pseudo-therapy session. Okay. Right? And so we do kind of a montage over the next few days as Kenneth is reliving these memories of him and his family, him and his wife, him and his kids, right? And we're seeing this, like, he's this beautiful, perfect life. And then we have him talking with Dr. Hoffer afterwards, and they almost develop a kind of friendship, you know, because Hoffer is hearing about and bearing witness to Kenneth's most treasured memories, and so they kind of get to know each other.
Yeah.
In a sense, right? And we see him, like, take the money he's been making from this medical trial, and he mails it to Martha. That's the child support payments that he's making. And he's happier, and he's more confident. Maybe we see him flirting with a woman at a coffee shop. He's just living a very much a happy life. And then he enters, just walking around, and then he enters Remembrance Inc. one more time, shakes Dr. Hoffer's hand, and goes into the back for another, trial. Martha Daniels, Kenneth Mackay's ex-wife, who is a stern but kind-hearted person, knocks on the door of Kenneth's apartment. His roommate answers, and she asks where he is, because she hasn't heard from him in weeks. She's been calling his phone, she's been texting him, she hasn't heard anything from him for a very long time. And they say, well, I mean, he was here today, but he keeps going to this place. It's Memory Corporation or something, Remember something, I don't know. And so she sees on the sort of island in the front of the room a letter from Remembrance Incorporated. And he's like, oh, and she's like, oh, okay. She Googles it, finds it in her phone, and she drives up, right? And it's late at night, it's stormy, it's dark, right? She gets in, and I forgot to mention this, but when Kenneth first arrives at Remembrance Incorporated, there are all these beautiful secretaries, and he's kind of maybe they're smiling at him, winking at him, right? They've got short skirts and low-cut tops, right? And they're giving him coffee, and he's very happy and feels very ooh, this is nice. And when she arrives, we see that the secretaries are not really very happy at all. They're just normal-ass people, and they're like, hello, how can I help you? We're closing down in an hour. It's late at night, it's raining, we're done. And she, says, I'm here to see Kenneth Mackay. And they're kind of like, Mr. Mackay is in a session right now. Would you be able to come back and see him at a different time or something like that? And she says, no, I need to see him right now. I'm his ex-wife. And the secretaries call up Dr. Hoffer. Dr. Hoffer comes down. Oh, Mrs. Mackay is what he calls her. And she says, no, my name's Miss Daniels. I'm sorry, Miss Daniels. Kenneth and I, we talk about you all the time. I'm kind of his therapist. It's very nice to finally to meet you, right? You're here to see Kenneth? Yeah, I need to talk to him right now. Okay, he's busy right now, but if you come with me, I can show you where he is. And so they walk up the stairs into the back, right, into the testing room. Kenneth is just right here, and we see this big, like, medical room with these large pane windows. And Martha turns the corner and sees Kenneth lying. He's got an IV in his arm. This bag of like mysterious fluid is going into his veins, and you just see him slumped over, eyes wide open, mouth agape, drool dripping down his face, sort of like a addict, you know?
Yeah.
And she's like horrified. And that's the end of Act 2.
Okay.
Do you have an idea where it's going now, huh, Kyle? Kyle, your name's not Kyle. It's a different friend of mine.
Smells Kyle.
No?
What? We're doing this podcast for 270 episodes. We've been friends for a longer time than that, and you just called me fucking Kyle? No, you could come up with your own idea of what's happening in Act 2. Go ask Kyle what's happening. All right, gee, what the hell,
Can
man?
I explain?
No.
I have a buddy.
I don't care.
Named
There's no
Kai.
explanations needed. No explanation needed, Dan.
I'm sorry. I made a mistake. I get confused sometimes. Act 3. Martha is obviously horrified, and she demands to know what's happening. And Dr. Hoffer shows her a screen, and she can see the memories that Kenneth is reliving. And it's this beautiful Thanksgiving, right, that they all had together as a family. It was the last Thanksgiving that they had together as a family. And everyone's laughing and joyful, and they're all holding hands in prayer, and Kenneth is cutting the turkey, and Martha, just looking at it, touches her face slightly, like just touches her cheek, and says, like, that's not how it... And then Doctor cuts her off and explains, Dr. Hoffer, the drug allows you to relive memories, not relive the past. This is how he remembers it happening. This isn't what happened. And she demands that Dr. Hoffer let him go. Like, you can't do this to people. And Hoffer laughs. Like, this, I'm not doing this to him. He signed up for this. He keeps coming back. He loves this. He's told me this is the best part of his day. This is what he gets out of bed for, is to come here and relive these memories he has of you being together. And she looks at him, that wasn't what us being together was. And no one should live like this. Get him out of that right now. And Dr. Hoffer says, okay, that's fine. You know, I'm not going to hold anyone here. You just need to sign these release forms, and we'll get him signed away. And so Martha kind of hurriedly, like, scribbles her signature down at the release forms. These two big burly men load Kenneth up into a wheelchair, because he's so fucked up on these drugs that he can't walk. He's not even lucid. He's just like kind of mumbling to himself. And they load him up and they put him into Martha's car, right, with the wheelchair. And the final shot we see of Remembrance Inc. is her looking out of the car window as she's about to pull away, and you see Dr. Hoffer at the front and all the secretaries and all of the people, right, who work there, and it's raining and it's pouring, but Remembrance Inc. is like brightly lit, and it's got this big beautiful glass facade at the front, right, and it's all of them just waving goodbye. And Dr. Hoff says, I'll see you tomorrow, Kenneth, you know. So she drives back, right, to his apartment, and she's white knuckling driving back. She's gripping the wheel really hard, and every few seconds she darts over to look at Kenneth, who's just like a mumbling, drooling mess in the passenger side seat, right? And she is like, seemingly she's very scared of him, right? And so she gets him into his apartment, and she, wheels his chair into his room, and then parks him in one corner of the room, and she stands in the other corner of the room. And that's when he kind of comes to, and he realizes what's happened. Martha, it's so nice to see you. I missed you so much. And he expresses how much he loves her and misses her, and how he wishes that they could be together again and things could be like they used to be. And Martha, just tears streaming down her face, but not sad tears, furious tears. She just lays into him. That Thanksgiving you remember so well is the Thanksgiving you knocked a tooth out of my mouth. Is the Thanksgiving that you nearly put Stephen in the hospital. You were a drunken, abusive asshole. That's why I left you. Not out of some ridiculous, imagined fault of my own. You were a psycho. And I realized, it took me years of being afraid of you to realize that I deserve better than this, that I need more than that. And I found somebody who treats me like a human being, and Kenneth is just he's this sobbing, he's very tired and he's exhausted and angry and upset, and he is this pathetic mewling coward just begging her to take him back, and she just looks at him and says, no. I refuse, and she goes up to the revolver that's sitting on the wardrobe or whatever. She flicks it open, she pours all of the bullets into her hand, and she says, "You'll never get my forgiveness, and you'll never see my children again. So go, leave. I don't give you permission to quit. You need to be better." And then he tries to stand up out of the wheelchair. He puts his hands on the side and tries to stand up, but his legs are still weak, and he falls to the ground and collapses onto the carpet, and he's just this sobbing mess, and he looks up, and Martha's walked out the front door. And the last shot we see of Kenneth is him lying on the ground, and in the background and in the foreground on the wardrobe, we just see the Remembrance Inc. letter. And then we cut to Martha, and she's driving her car down the highway, and in her hand she has all these bullets, and she puts her hand out the window and just lets the bullets fall out of her hand onto the highway. And the final shot of the movie is the camera on the ground with the bullets right in front of the camera, and Martha's car driving away as the sun rises. The Mask of Tomorrow.
Damn.
That's the end of the movie.
I like that. I didn't see the twist coming. That he's actually a jerk the whole time. And it explains a lot of stuff, like why the interaction at the office and all that kind of stuff. And
I want the first two acts for you to, as the audience member, to really oh, this guy's so hard done by, and this horrible bitch wife of his cheated on him and took half his shit. Yeah. And then the reveal of, oh shit, he was an abusive asshole, and we're only getting it from his perspective, and his memory is so rose tinted and so false,
Yeah.
But the whole Yeah, so
you can have a little when they have that phone call with when he has the phone call with her new boyfriend, his wife's new boyfriend.
Yeah,
you could have the scene where we see where they make that phone call. Maybe you could see a shot of the boyfriend's face, and it'll be an actor that kind of looks like a douchebag. He's maybe got a wife beater shirt on. He looks like an asshole. And then later in the movie, we see it's like a doctor or I don't know. It's this really well-dressed and, well-kempt person who's respectable.
He's a preacher.
Yeah, something so tame, ridiculously tame compared to what he looked like before.
Yeah,
just somebody that
exactly.
looks something whoever the casting is, you have to pick the nicest, sweetest-looking person in the entire world.
Timothée Chalamet.
Yes, exactly.
Tom Holland. He's a nice boy. But
he might be a little too young.
Yeah, exactly. But I was because my first initial idea with the Mask of Tomorrow, because it was always in my mind, a man gets a medical trial, because I think that's a really cool way to set up a sort of horror thriller movie. And the thing was going to be that he would put on the mask and it would show him tomorrow. And based off of his actions, tomorrow would change.
Yeah.
And so he'd see tomorrow, and tomorrow's a beautiful day. And then he went and did something, came back, put the mask on, and it's like the apocalypse. But I couldn't work out how he could make the world end in a day, you know? Because the whole thing would be he's very much not like an important person. But I was then like, well, tomorrow is like memory, you know? Like tomorrow, like the mask of tomorrow, putting on a mask, like to take on a new day, right? And I was like, oh, that's interesting, you know? And so nostalgia and looking at life through rose-tinted glasses and how you can, as a person, get so caught up in what was that you refuse to move on to what is or what will be, you know? And so the whole point of the movie is that you have to keep moving forward, you know? You can't just wallow in the past. You have to keep going, you know? Even if going hurts, you have to keep doing it, right? Or else you're just, you may as well not exist, you know? That sort of thing. But that was my, that was the movie. That was the movie I had. I'd watch that movie. I feel like it's very A24 coded, though.
Is that a bad thing?
No, it's not a bad thing. It's just I could see A24 horror people being like, oh, this is pretty good. But then I also want the red herring of Dr. Hoffer being like this crazy scientist, and then at the end he's like, no, I'm not gonna make anyone do something that they don't want to do. You know?
Yeah.
I'm a drug dealer. I'm not a cult leader. You know, you come to me to get your fix. And it's not the other way around, you know?
Yeah, he's just selling a service that's legal.
Yeah. He's just selling a service, and it's, you know, you could probably make it about Instagram if you wanted to. You can make it about social media if you really wanted to, but fuck that shit. It's about memories.
Yeah, all those kids and their damn TikToks.
Yeah, or all that. I've been seeing lots of, like, AI-generated videos of people being like, wasn't the 80s great? And I'm like, no, I wasn't there, but it seemed fine, I guess. But, yeah, you know, that's the whole thing. I mean, how much of our society is obsessed with nostalgia? Mm-hmm. How many things are just nostalgia bait and just retreads of shit from when we were kids? You know, so that's kind of what I'm talking about partially. But it's a movie. It seemed fun. Also, Dr. Hoffer, the guy who invented the word nostalgia, his name was Hoffer. So that's where I got the name from. But yeah, that's my idea for The Mask of Tomorrow. It's not very science fiction-y. It's very much, it's a human drama about people and being alive. But there is a little bit of a science fiction twist to it, which I thought you would appreciate.
I did. I liked it a lot. I was nervous at the beginning because you told me I would hate it. I don't know why you said that in hindsight. Mm-hmm. Were you just trying to mess with me?
I was trying to say, well, I was assuming you would dislike it because I took a very obviously super fun action sci-fi title and I made it into like a drama, but I didn't think you'd actually dislike it.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, everyone, for listening to the Very Reasonable Pilots podcast. I've been your host, Charles. Along with me as well, he's been my co-host, editor, producer, co-pilot, gunner, navigator, orator, and podcasting associate, Jacob Gloth. If you like what you heard here and you want to hear more, please give us a like, a follow, subscribe, tell your friends, tell your family, tell your dog, tell your cat. And remember, we will be here next week with a brand new visual series titled... Wait, let me count how many titles you have to pick from, Jake.
Okay.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6. You have 6. 6 titles.
2.
1, 2. The Worst Thief in the Galaxy. That's the title.
The Worst Thief in the Galaxy. I can't wait to write a really deep drama about the trauma of a young thief, and the galaxy is a metaphor for the struggles in his life and how isolated he feels and you know, alone. It's about a young kid, and he robbed a convenience store and accidentally killed somebody while he was robbing the convenience store. So he goes to jail for 20 years, and his only
thing that keeps him sane in jail for all that time with all these hardened criminals is like old school science fiction stories, and so he has an imaginary friend who's Flash Gordon, and he's running around helping him survive jail. I don't know, something like that.
That seems more comedic than
Yeah. Well, it could be, or he could be losing his mind. You can make it super dark.
Yeah.
And Flash Gordon's actually a metaphor for his childhood innocence, and he has to kill Flash Gordon to survive prison, and then he becomes the best prisoner.
Oh, I was gonna say like he ends up in solitary confinement, and the last scene of the show is him like losing his mind alone in solitary.
Yeah. Flash, are you there, Flash? Flash! And then it zooms out, and he's in jail. Yeah. Or you could do something fun, as the title, The Worst Thief in the Galaxy, does imply.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you everyone for listening, and we'll see you next week.